And welcome to Local Edition on Time Warner Cable. I'm Steve Swat with the Sacramento Report. In the next few minutes, we're going to talk about efforts at the state capitol to make our school classrooms safer. My guest is Senator Marty Block from San Diego. Thanks very much for being with us.
Great to be with you.
So let's talk about your credentials first. I mean, decades in education. You were on the Education Committee, the Budget Subcommittee on Education Funding, all of which we're going to get into. But first, let's talk about your bill about school locks.
Right, with what's been happening around the country, unfortunately, over the last 10 years, from Columbine on to what we just saw in the last couple of months, we need to do something to make our schools safer, to protect our children. And there are probably three things that are being done. One has to do with better mental health, diagnosing people with problems, treating people with problems. A second is gun control, and they're controversial bills, but we've got to control maybe the weapons and whose hands they're in. But a third, we can do some things architecturally just to make our schools safer. In my bill, very simple solution, it's to allow teachers to lock classroom doors from the inside. Most of our older schools have doors, like a lot of our doors at home, that lock from the outside with a key. So if there's an intruder, the teacher is worried about his or her students and their own safety, they have to go outside to lock the door, which puts them in harm's way. And if the teacher gets hurt, then the students are in jeopardy. So it's a very simple bill. It just says that all schools must, by January 1st, 2015, have doors that you can lock from the inside.
Now, the new schools presumably have this, because wasn't there legislation a couple of years ago that mandated new schools to have inside door locks?
There was. About 70% of our schools now have these inside locks. Unfortunately, the older schools, and usually the schools in more impoverished areas, have not updated the locks, and those are the kids who are at risk.
Okay. Let's talk about another issue that you're dealing with, I know, in your subcommittee, your budget subcommittee, and that's the governor's very controversial proposal to change the way schools are funded. He wants to give more money to those districts that are in low socioeconomic environments and have more English language learners because they need more help. That's pitting urban against suburban legislators, crosses party lines. Where do you think that issue is headed?
Well, I applaud the governor for taking the initiative to look at changes, and I think he's moving in the right direction. In my Senate district, I have Poway Unified School District, which is a suburban district, which would be a loser with this change. I have San Diego Unified, an urban district, and they would do better with the changes. And then I have a couple of districts, Solana Beach and Del Mar, that are what they call basic aid districts, and they get the same amount under the old formula or the new formula. So it does, where you live has a lot to do with whether you like this or not. But I think moving to a plan where you put more of your dollars where they're frankly more needed makes a lot of sense.
But suburban districts, I mean, they've made significant cuts over the past few years. They laid off teachers. Class size has been increasing. I mean, they've been hurting too. Everybody
needs the money, no question about that. But I think you can argue successfully that if you have more English learners in a classroom, if you have kids coming from poverty where there may not be the same support at home, you probably need more support in the classroom. So I agree with the direction the governor's going. There's some faults, though. Right now, the increased money is going to school districts, not to individual schools. So San Diego Unified, for example, has La Jolla High School in the district, as well as some relatively very poor high schools. Nothing in the governor's budget says that the money has to go to the poor schools. We need to make sure that it goes where it's intended to go.
All right. Well, we're out of time, unfortunately, that we could talk for quite a while on the subject, but Senator Block, thanks for coming by and discussing it. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thanks to our viewers for watching Local Edition on Time Warner Cable. A reminder, you can see this and other interviews on YouTube, also on My Government On Demand. I'm Steve Swat. Have a great day.